The objective today is to place one HTML tag inside of another to render the HTML into visible content. So today is day 1 of Unit 3, so we'll do a heavy refresher of HTML stuff and then a brief introduction of CSS. We have what I think is a fun 40-question quiz on HTML, and that will be a great way for us to transition into CSS to see what we remember and don't remember, and we'll be able to post that all on Canvas and thus work together with that knowledge, okay? And then the DOL I'm saying here will blow your mind. So this is a video we'll play in the beginning of class. It's a funny HTML element video. This will be our end of unit goal. We want to get to this point. So in the video it's going to go over quite a bit of fancy things you can make a website do. And that's what we want to get to in the end. Be fancy. So HTML refresher. A markup language is a set of instructions on how to create a document like a web page. HTML is also very good at incorporating other types of documents into itself, like a Flash file, for instance. If you remember, we briefly talked about Flash in our DRM EME lesson. So Flash is pretty hated amongst techie people, and I'll leave that up to you to find out why. But for now, let's talk about HTML5. There are 3 main ways that HTML5 is different than just regular HTML. The version before 5, though, is obviously 4. The first one is HTML5 is trying to make error handling centralized. Most browsers can take a very bad written code with errors and make it into something usable, but many browsers use different methods to find out how the web page should be. So HTML5 tries to change that by making a central set of standards for displaying broken web pages. And now after our Unit 2 lessons, you understand that the browser is a big deal in terms of taking the code you write and turning it into something that people can view. The browser is very powerful, and there's very many options out there. Mozilla Firefox, you have Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, which, by the way, offers bug bounties averaging about $500 a piece. So if you can find the bug in that code, you can make some money there. So the second way HTML5 is different is it's trying to make it easier to create web applications. HTML5 is incorporating tags such as video, audio, and canvas tags. These are now elements, and before they were not. Number 3, HTML5 tries to make the raw HTML easier to understand. It includes tags such as article, header, and nav, and others so that the developer does not have to sift through endless piles of divs, that is, divisions in a page. This makes the code much easier to read and much easier to understand. Also, local storage was added. This is a big deal. It is a local SQL or SQL database which can be written to by JavaScript. In addition to all that, the browser can now validate a form locally before sending it to the server, which reduces server load and speeds up load times for the user. So speed is obviously very important when you click on a link or go to a website by typing in the URL. You want things to happen as fast as possible. Your Think Right Share on this one is, what are 2 benefits to using HTML5? Now that I've read to you the 3 differences. Okay, so for the introduction on CSS, here's an explain it to me like I'm 5. Think of CSS like this. Bob Ross does an oil painting and starts off with a canvas covered in liquid white. This is the lowest level on the hierarchy. It applies to the entire body of the painting like a class applied to the body tag. On that, he paints some divs of class Mountain. The Mountain class has the attribute paint color Van Dyke Brown. Since the div is within the body, the paint color Van Dyke Brown attribute overwrites the liquid white, and you see the brown over the liquid white everywhere. So after that explanation, I want you to answer this. What is a div? CSS. This unit will be your real first direct instructions on CSS. Many of you in this class have already been using CSS to spice up your web pages, which is terrific. CSS makes you able to make sweeping style changes without having to manually change each HTML element on your page. And here's a great way to think of your customer relations. Okay, so let's say you have a customer, they're explaining to you how they want you to build a website. So the first scene here is how the customer explained it. Second one is how the project leader understood it, how the analyst designed it, that is crazy, how the programmer wrote it, how the business consultant described it, how the project was documented, no documentation, what operations installed, how the customer was billed, as in a fancy roller coaster, how it was supported, and then in the end, a simple tire swing was what the customer really needed. So web development can kind of be like that. Alright, so let's go to this link right here, take the quiz, and what I want you to do is copy and paste questions that you don't know the answer to, so we can all learn the answers together. This would be a great Monday review for us to look at the questions and then reply with answers, to do some rapid research and reply with those answers. So here's some IB questions to end the lesson. Choose one of the 7 or more. And in case you completely have forgotten how to use GitHub, I'm going to list the steps right here. And at the end of the day, if you're still confused, just rewatch video day 10.5, and that's from Unit 1. So your DOL is pretty simple here. It says go to your account on GitHub and make a repository called WebEd. This would be a place where you insert code about the code you are learning about, and then post the link. Okay, so post the link on Canvas, that's your DOL. Here's our first example of how you would go about doing what I just asked. You'll have your code like HTML, body, H1, and then welcome to WebEd. And then in a backslash end the H1 tag, you can have something else saying something like, on this site you'll learn how to use HTML and CSS. And then a paragraph that says to begin. Most websites use HTML, head, body, and paragraph tags. So what this website will be about is how to build a website. So that's what I said when I mentioned your mind will be blown here. We're going to do a lot of coding about coding now. And though that'll be complicated, I think I'll provide you every step that you'll need to take in order to get there.